Welcome to my lightning round on marshaling the evidence to launch OHSU Library's no-charge Get It For Me service, which follows the work we began in early 2019 to make ILL and Doctel free of charge to our patrons, as well as the challenges and solutions we found along the way. While not every library needs or is able to make such a transition, I hope that if your library is thinking about making a similar change, this talk will show that going charge-free is absolutely worth it. I'm Elizabeth Meyer, an ILL student assistant at Oregon Health and Science University, presenting on behalf of our team, which included my colleague Courtney Foley, under the direction of our supervisor Summer Steele and our university librarian Chris Albee. My contact information is on the last slide. First, I'll cover why we decided to make this change. Then I'll outline our planning and initial concerns. Next, I'll share the outcomes of the project, and finally, our next steps in handling the challenges we encountered. Let's start with the why. We found that our current policies and procedures for our ILL and Doctel services included unnecessary barriers for our patrons, causing our services to be underutilized. These barriers included a prohibitive fee. Our policy at the time for faculty, residents, and staff was 10 free ILL requests per calendar year, after which they were charged $10 per request. Students were allowed 10 free ILL requests per quarter, with additional requests at $2 each. Doctel was $10 per request, regardless of user status. This was all based on an outdated convenience charge. Not everyone has the means to pay for the use of resources to which they do not have institutional access, which can potentially alter the outcome of research. Charging may even cause patrons to choose not to use ILL, preferring to use means such as non-copyright regulated online sources like ResearchGate, or even colleagues at other institutions to obtain the research materials they need. Students might choose to abandon certain research topics if they think they can't obtain resources. To maximize access, the library decided to no longer charge OHSU patrons to use ILL. As we set out to do so, we learned that academic studies show that many patrons do not recognize and cannot define traditional jargon-based service names like interlibrary loan or document delivery. My assessment of websites from large libraries throughout the country provided us with alternatives for a more user-centered, plain language service name that also describes the service function. We decided upon Get It For Me as the service name that would replace language throughout the OHSU library website. We also suspected that a lack of promotion for our service might be a contributing factor. If you aren't aware that the service is an option, you won't use it. The solution for this barrier was marketing and outreach. In early 2019, we began the process of transitioning from fee-based to free of charge. We did have some concerns. Would the change dramatically increase the volume of borrowing requests we received every day? If so, would we be able to keep up with both borrowing and lending? In addition, if the volume of requests were to skyrocket, would the fees become unsustainable? It might not be costing our patrons $10 an article, but that didn't mean the library wouldn't still have copyright bills to pay. One workflow challenge that we definitely expected to see was an increase in the amount of Doctel requests for scans from our extensive print collection. We had a somewhat faulty bookedge scanner at that point, and knew that if we increased the volume of scanning at all, we would not be able to keep up with it on that device. This necessitated planning for anticipated workflow challenges and requesting a new and improved scanner. We also knew that we would need to prepare some marketing materials and outreach language for when we were ready for the official no-charge service announcement. The timeline played out this way. In March 2019, we did a soft launch of the no-charge service. We didn't make an official announcement at this time, but word of mouth helped the news spread, and we saw an increase in requests almost immediately. In April 2019, we officially announced the no-charge Get It For Me service. Our web pages were all updated with the appropriate information and policies. The announcement was posted to our library blog and to the news section of OHSU's intranet for a broader population to see, and Chris shared the announcement at All Hill, the periodic meeting of OHSU leadership. This outreach proved successful enough that we didn't end up having to use the other marketing materials we had drafted, but this graphic created by my colleague Courtney is used on our webpage to visually represent our service. By May 2019, our new BookEye scanner was set up and we were using it regularly. To be clear, this was a $20,000 investment and would not necessarily be a possibility for every library. But we were lucky to have Chris advocate for us to get this purchase approved, and we use it every day, so it's definitely been worth it in our unique case. We have been evaluating the impact of the changes by monitoring use statistics as compared to prior years. This chart compares the number of fulfilled requests from faculty, staff, and residents for articles we either requested from OCLC or DocLine, or that we filled from our own electronic collection, which we don't group with Doctel. As you will see in the next several charts, we saw an increase in requests in 2019 as compared to previous years, beginning between March and April, with a significant increase shown through the rest of the year. I've included the data we have for 2020 so far as well, and you can see that the pattern continues. Here is the data for fulfilled articles for students. Once again, you can see that dramatic increase beginning in April with the official announcement of the no-charge service. We also saw a dramatic increase in DocDel requests. This data represents only the requests we pulled and scanned from our print collection. I should note that the jump up in 2019, here and above in regular borrowing, might be complicated by the research groups who do very large literature review projects and who we cannot separate out in the usage statistics. But in looking at the DocDel numbers for students, the same jump up occurs, which indicates that the dramatic increase was not solely caused by these outlying literature review projects. Finally, this chart shows the total fulfilled articles for both borrowing and DocDel. The percentage increase of borrowing requests filled in each quarter of 2018 to the corresponding period in 2019 is over 200%. As you can see, this was a significant increase. The transition to no-charge service caused us to reevaluate how to continue to keep on top of all of these requests. In the end, we decided to join Rapid ILL to help ease costs and to speed up fulfillment of borrowing articles. Our lovely new scanner allows us to scan quickly and efficiently, which not only helps with fulfilling DocDel requests, but allows us to turn around lending requests more quickly too. All in all, with careful planning, we found our balance. We have, of course, had to make changes once again due to COVID-19, but that's a whole different story. Thank you for listening today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.